While the form and expression of anti Semitism have evolved from the state driven, systematic approach of the Nazi era to the more fragmented and decentralized incidents of today, the underlying prejudices and stereotypes remain a concerning continuity. The modern challenge lies in adapting the changing landscape of communication and globalization in which these harmful ideologies persist and spread. So, clearly, there are differences between today's anti Semitism and the Nazi era. One of the concerns that I have is what you're seeing today is more toned down in that it's not the same level of state sponsored hatred that you were getting during the Nazis, which makes it more appealing to a larger group of people who would have been less inclined to support some of the policies of the Nazis, but it still strikes a note with the prejudices that they have, where they might not want to take Jews and put them in concentration camps, but we're not going to let Jews have jobs in this sector, or we're not going to let them live in this neighborhood, or we're going to, do the various violent things that we see now. And it makes it almost more palatable to a larger group of people because you're not catering to that extremist group. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, unfortunately, again, right now with what's going on, there is the violence going on. There are people that are out there that it's not the Holocaust. It's not let's put you in a concentration camp. It's let's just kill the Jews. Like that's what is so scary is there are people who in almost every country right now, people that are being attacked only because they are Jewish. You have a woman in France who a group of people broke into her house and beat her up and almost left her for dead only because she was Jewish. So unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, it's almost worse in a way.
That's my point. That's
Then
exactly my point is because it's not that
it's not let's gather you up and put you someplace. It's we're just going to take care of you right now.
right, but it's done almost on an individual basis.
Yes, there's nobody saying we're the Nazis.
Right. You don't need to have that
I can
overt,
just
obvious presence.
Right. I just hate Jews, so I'm going and attacking you.
Right. And that's my point is that because it's being done
yes. Okay.
less from a government policy standpoint and more from a grassroots standpoint,
right,
it brings more of those hatred-filled people into the mix
right,
to take action that they wouldn't normally have taken.
Right. There are people who would normally use Uber for rides or to get food who have gone in and changed their profile so that they don't have a Jewish sounding name. Or if they're going and getting a ride, don't put in their actual home address. They're going 2 blocks away to pick up a ride because they don't know who's coming to pick them up.
And this is very similar to the 1970s when you had the various terrorist organizations that were anti-Jew that were going out there and kidnapping people and hijacking planes. And when people would travel, they would travel with dual passports and they would present, a passport from another country, not from Israel, or they'd remove, jewelry that they had on that would signify their faith and stuff like that.
Yep.
Where they were forced to hide their faith just to not be targets. And we're back into that situation again. And this was just the 1970s that this had happened.
Right. Just this past weekend, one of the New York City libraries was defaced with anti-Semitic rhetoric. That's New York City. This is, and if any city is a melting pot, you would think it wouldn't be happening there, where you expect small town, whatever, that maybe has only 2 Jewish people in the town, if any, that would be the place where you'd have this huge outpour of anti-Semitic. But New York City, like, it just boggles my mind and just makes me sad and angry and mad and everything else that's what's out there.
So one of the things that we've certainly seen over the last 5 years, 6 years, has been this push in schools to change curricula
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to say it alters history, but it certainly downplays certain
They
aspects
want
of history.
nice history.
Right.
Yeah.
Given the historical context of the Holocaust, how important do you think it is to learn about and understand these events in today's education system? And do you think it's happening?
Well, I know in our school system, it has been. They've done various things. I know she read The Diary of Anne Frank, and that was a very big push to learning it. And even younger than that, there were little hints of it. So I think it's, it should be age appropriate, but I think just with any other history lesson, it's something that needs to be taught. But I think it also is the same thing for Japanese Americans with the internment camps. None of that when I was in school was ever taught. That was something that was kind of glossed over. So I don't want to say, yes, it should be just the Holocaust. No, I think we need to go back and learn all of these things that the country has done to its own people or other countries have done to their own people, because if you forget it and you don't teach it, you're going to relive it. And that's always been something, I've known about the Holocaust since I was very young, going to Hebrew school. And that's where I learned it. I learned it in Hebrew school. I didn't learn it in school until high school. I think that was really the first time we ever talked about it. But I had already known all about it. I don't want to say I was desensitized to it, but I knew about it. So okay. And I even remember being excused from one of the classes because I already knew. The teacher didn't want to bore me with anything or upset me. So if you want to go to the library, feel free. Okay, sure, I'll go. But that's just always been something, like I said, we've always been taught as a Jewish people, we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep teaching about it, because the minute we stop, it's going to happen again. And that's where I think so many people right now, with everything that's going on, we feel like if we don't speak up and say something, that we're kind of going down that road again to being put, into a concentration camp. How scary is it that people are posting on Facebook, if something happens, will you hide me? And that people aren't responding to it, that people feel to have that fear.
Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it on the show today, because it is getting to that point. It's getting to the point where we're really threatening to go back down that path again. And with the coming election, and one of the major candidates in this election, it's a significant threat. And the things that are being said by this candidate now, tell you that that's the kind of world that he wants to live in, where he's the one that's in charge. He's the guy that's picking and choosing who